Hey friends, how are you all? Imagine a place so remote, so unforgiving that even the air you breathe feels like a battle. At 20,000 feet in the Karakoram mountain range, where temperatures plunge to minus 50 degrees Celsius, the Siachen glacier stands as the world's highest battlefield. For India, it is more than ice and rock. It is a strategic crown, a symbol of resilience and a testament to the sacrifices of soldiers who guard it. Since 1984, India has held this glacier, thwarting Pakistan's attempts to claim it and keeping a watchful eye on China's ambitions in the region. But in the mid 2000s, a storm of controversy erupted with allegations that UPA government led by Dr. Manmohan Singh and the then Super Prime Minister Sonia Gandhi planned to sell out Siachen to Pakistan, betraying India's hard-won dominance for political or for personal gain. Let's have a look at Siachen and its strategic importance. In order to understand this particular controversy, we must grasp why Siachen matters to India's national security. Nestled between Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan and Chinese-controlled Saksham Valley, Siachen is a geopolitical linchpin. India's control of the glacier and the Saltoro Ridge give us a vantage point to monitor both Pakistan and China, preventing a potential pincer movement. The glacier's dominance ensures that Pakistan's forces stationed west of Saltoro Ridge cannot link up with Chinese positions, safeguarding India's northern frontier as a whole. In the late 70s and 80s, Indian intelligence gathered information about Pakistan's planned operation on the Siachen Glacier through a combination of recon, human intelligence, and signals intelligence. In the late 1970s and 80s, Pakistan began asserting control over Siachen by issuing permits illegally to foreign mountaineering expeditions, treating the region as part of Gilgit-Baltistan. This activity was immediately noted by Indian intelligence as an indication of Pakistan's intent to establish a presence in the area. Then Colonel Narendra Kumar, known as Bull Kumar, an Indian Army officer and mountaineer, led a recon expedition to Siachen in 1978 authorized by Army's Military Intelligence Directorate. Colonel Kumar's team, under the guise of a mountaineering expedition, confirmed the suspicion that Pakistani cartographic aggression by finding maps and permits that claimed Siachen as Pakistani territory. Colonel Kumar's subsequent expeditions in 1981, including the ascent of Teram Kangdi, further documented Pakistani activity in the region. Another piece of human intelligence came in 1983 from a German mountaineer couple who had climbed in Siachen under a Pakistani permit. After their expedition, they visited an Indian Army Mountaineering Institute in Frankfurt, Germany, to share photographs and details of their climbs. During the visit, they spoke with Indian Army officers, revealing that Pakistani troops had been present in the area, escorting their expedition, and that Pakistan was planning to establish a permanent post on the glacier. This information was immediately relayed to the Indian military intelligence, raising even more concerns about Pakistan's intentions. Army's signal intelligence also played a role. The Indian Army's Signal Intelligence Directorate intercepted communications between Pakistani military units, revealing plans to deploy Special Services Group SSG commandos to Siachen in early 1984. These intercepts, combined with report from local shepherds in Nubra Valley who observed unusual activity across the border, provided further confirmation of Pakistan's operational planning. By late 1983, the Research and Analysis Wing (RAW), India's external intelligence agency, corroborated these findings through its sources in Pakistan. RAW reports indicated that Pakistan had procured high-altitude gear from London-based firm, the same supplier India used, which further raised suspicions when Indian intelligence cross-verified the purchase orders. This equipment, including specialized tents and clothing, was intended for a Pakistani military operation to establish posts on the Siachen Glacier. And thus, India launched Operation Meghdoot, and it was a military operation initiated by the Indian Army on April 13, 1984, to secure the control over the Siachen Glacier in the Karakoram range. The operation's name was derived from the Sanskrit term Meghadootam, meaning cloud messenger, a reference to a play by Kalidasa, symbolizing the operation's high altitude environment. The glacier spans 76 kilometers with altitudes ranging from 3600 to 5400 meters, making it the highest battlefield in the world. The 1949 Karachi Agreement and the 1972 Simla Agreement defined the line of control (LOC) up to the grid point NJ9842, but left the boundary beyond this point undemarcated, stating only that it extends north to the glaciers. This ambiguity led to the conflicting claims over Siachen. So this is the basis of the Siachen conflict. The Indian Army, under the leadership of General Premnath Hoon, then General Officer Commanding in Chief of Western Command, planned Operation Meghdoot. The operation was executed by 26th Sector, later known as the Siachen Brigade, under the command of Brigadier Vijay Chibar. The primary units involved were the 4th Battalion of the Kumaon Regiment and Ladakh Scouts, supported by the Indian Air Force. On April 13, 1984, Indian troops were airlifted by IAF helicopters, primarily Mi-8s and Chetak helicopters, to key positions on Saltoro Ridge, which overlooks the Siachen Glacier. The operation began with the establishment of posts at Bilafon La, that is at 5450 meters, and Siala, that is 5600 meters, two critical passes on the ridge. By April 17, 1984, India had secured these positions, gaining control over the western slopes of the Saltoro Ridge and the glacier below. Pakistan responded on April 17, 1984, launching an assault to try to dislodge Indian forces, but the attack was successfully repelled by the Indian Army. Over the following weeks, Pakistan made multiple attempts to reclaim the positions, involving its SST commandos. These efforts continued in June 1984 with heavy casualties on Pakistani side. Indian forces equipped for high-altitude warfare and supported by artillery and logistics maintained their position despite extreme weather conditions, including temperatures as low as -50 degrees Celsius and frequent avalanches. A significant engagement during the operation occurred in June 1984 at Bilafon La, where Indian troops led by 2nd Lieutenant Rajiv Pandey of 4th Kumaon Regiment defended against Pakistani assault. Pandey and his platoon held the post, though he and several soldiers were killed in action. Pandey was posthumously awarded the Veer Chakra for his actions. The operation also saw the establishment of the Kumar Post, named after Colonel Narendra Kumar, who had led earlier recon missions in Siachen during the late 70s and early 80s. By the end of June 1984, India had successfully secured the Saltoro Ridge, controlling Siachen Glacier and its approaches. Pakistan was pushed to the western side of the ridge, unable to access the glacier directly. The operation resulted in India establishing permanent posts, including the highest military post in the world at Bana Top at 6,500 meters, named after Naib Subedar Bana Singh, who later captured a Pakistani post in 1987 during a follow-up operation and was awarded the Paramveer Chakra. The Indian Air Force also played a crucial role in logistics, airlifting troops, supplies and equipment to sustain the operation. The Indian Air Force conducted over 2,000 sorties during the initial phase using Mi-8 and Mi-17 and Chetak helicopters. The operation marked the first use of assault rifles in Siachen, with Indian troops equipped with 5.56 mm INSAS rifle. Operation Meghdoot resulted in India retaining control over the Siachen Glacier, with the conflict becoming a prolonged high-altitude standoff. The operation caused India 36 casualties during the initial phase, while Pakistan reportedly suffered over 200 losses. Indian Army has since maintained its presence in Siachen successfully. Now let's have a look into the plot to surrender Siachen to Pakistan by Congress-led UPA government. The G-Files magazine article titled Siachen Handout Bartering India's Security, authored by Shiv Kunal Verma, was published on November 12, 2012. It presented allegations that United Progressive Alliance UPA government under Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was planning to withdraw Indian troops from Siachen Glacier, potentially ceding control to Pakistan. The information in the article was compiled by Verma in collaboration with Lieutenant General Prakash Katoch, retired, a former Siachen Brigade commander during the Kargil War, and M.G. Devasahayam, a retired IAS officer. The article stated that the UPA government faced pressure from the United States to demilitarize Siachen as a peace gesture towards Pakistan. This move was allegedly intended to appease Pakistan, a key ally in the US-led war in Afghanistan following the events of 9/11. The US was said to have offered the prospect of a Nobel Peace Prize for Manmohan Singh as an incentive if India agreed to vacate the glacier, framing the withdrawal as a significant step towards regional peace. A significant focus of the article was on track 2 diplomacy efforts between India and Pakistan. It detailed a meeting in Ottawa, Canada, facilitated by US-based Atlantic Council, where retired Indian Brigadier Gurmeet Kanwal, reportedly selected by Prime Minister's office, collaborated with a Pakistani brigadier, unnamed so far, to draft a blueprint for mutual withdrawal from Siachen. The Indian delegation included Ajay Shukla, a former army officer turned journalist with strong connections in the Sonia Gandhi government, who was described as PMO's representative in the Track 2 team, indicating direct involvement of Indian government in these unofficial talks. By the way, Ajay Shukla was a lieutenant colonel, he was not a general rank officer. Verma underscored the strategic importance of Siachen, noting that India holds critical choke points on the Saltoro Ridge, giving it dominance over the glacier, while Pakistan has no presence whatsoever there. He warned that withdrawal would allow Pakistan and China to gain freedom of movement, posing a severe threat to India's national security. Specifically, the Nubra Valley could become vulnerable, with the enemy potentially outflanking Turk and moving southward. Additionally, routes through the Remo group of glaciers could provide access to the Karakoram Pass, a concern later highlighted by Chinese incursions attempts in eastern Ladakh. The Indian Army's opposition to the proposed withdrawal was a key point in the article. Lieutenant General Prakash Katoch, who had commanded the Siachen Brigade, informed Verma of the plan and its dangerous implications. The army insisted that any disengagement must be conditional on Pakistan authenticating its troop positions, a demand Pakistan consistently refused to meet. The article also alleged that the PMO closely monitored the deal and exerted pressure to suppress media coverage. Mainstream media outlets reportedly avoided the story due to this influence. However, Anil Tyagi, the editor of G-Files, chose to publish the article despite the pressure, aiming to expose potential Siachen sellout and bring public attention to the risks of the UPA's plan. The most concrete evidence came from an unlikely source, that is, Shyam Saran, India's Foreign Secretary from 2004 to 2006. In his 2017 book, How India Sees the World, Kautilya to 21st Century, Saran confirmed that in 2006, India and Pakistan discussed authenticating the actual ground position line (AGPL) in Siachen as a step towards the so-called demilitarization. The idea was to mark both sides' positions, withdraw troops, and create a peace zone, reducing the human and financial toll on the conflict. Sharon noted that Pakistan's refusal to authenticate its positions, likely to avoid admitting it had no foothold on the glacier, derailed the talks. Sharon's account was proof of UPA's proposed sellout. Military veterans argued that the demilitarization would have left Siachen vulnerable, as Pakistan could easily seize the glacier and India would have to sacrifice its soldiers to retake it. The army, led by General J.J. Singh and backed by then National Security Advisor M.K. Narayanan, shared this fear, warning that withdrawal could cede India's strategic advantage. In 2006, the UPA attempt was thwarted by the Cabinet Committee on Security (CCS), swayed by the concerns, shelved the proposal, ensuring India's military troops stayed put. The book, launched by former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, records that India and Pakistan nearly agreed to demilitarize Siachen on 3 occasions, that is, this is according to Shyam Saran's book, in 1989 during Rajiv Gandhi's tenure, in 1992 under P.V. Narasimha Rao, and in 2006 during the UPA government led by Manmohan Singh. In 2006, Sharan, as a foreign secretary, worked with Pakistani counterpart Riaz Mohammad Khan to draft an agreement on Siachen. Sharan was directed by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh to obtain consensus from key stakeholders. He conducted multiple consultations with senior bureaucrats and ministers in the Ministry of Defense, Home and Finance, all part of Cabinet Committee on Security. The Indian Army, including Army Chief General J.J. Singh and Director General of Military Operations, initially approved the draft, which included details on redeployment points, withdrawal phases, and a joint monitoring mechanism. The agreement was presented at CCS meeting on the eve of Defense Secretary level talks in May 2006. National Security Advisor M.K. Narayanan opposed the proposal, arguing that Pakistan could never be trusted. Public opposition would arise and India's military position against Pakistan and China would be compromised severely. General J.J. Singh, who had previously supported the plan, aligned with Narayanan during this meeting. Home Minister Shivraj Patil and Defence Minister Pranab Mukherjee deferred the decision for further study while Manmohan Singh remained tactfully silent. Narayanan went on to suggest removing Siachen from India-Pakistan talks entirely, a stance communicated to Pakistan